You don't hear the battle. You hear the king's offer. An Assyrian messenger rides toward the city gates carrying a white cloth instead of spear. The defenders watch from the walls with arrows ready. Every soldier around you stands perfectly still. The messenger shouts one sentence. Open your gates. Pay tribute and live. Silence. The city waits. Then an arrow flies from a wall. It strikes the messenger's horse. The animal crashes into the dirt. The gates remain closed. Around you, nobody shouts. Nobody panics. Your commander simply nods. The city has chosen. You look at the frightened faces above the walls and realize something. They think they refuse an offer, but they have really accepted a siege. Behind your army, hundreds of engineers begin moving forward. Soldiers pull giant wooden beams. Carpenters hammer thick planks together. Archers prepare thousands of arrows. Men push wagons loaded with ropes, ladders, and tools. This isn't an army that only knows how to fight. It knows how to build. It knows how to destroy. Most importantly, it knows how to wait. That is why kingdoms fear Assyria. Not because your soldiers are stronger, because your empire never stops. But you were not born into this terrifying machine. Years ago, you were just another boy running through the dusty streets of a small village near the great city of Nineveh. You chase goats. You race your friends. You believed the biggest problem in the world was getting caught stealing dates from your neighbor's tree. Then one afternoon, everything changed. The ground began to shake. At first, everyone thought it was thunder. Your father smiled. "It isn't thunder," he said. "It's the army." You climbed onto a stone wall to see. Thousands of soldiers stretched farther than your eyes could follow. Archers, spearmen, horsemen, engineers, supply wagons, blacksmiths, even doctors walked with the army. You had never imagined so many people moving together. They looked less like men, and more like one giant creature marching across the land. Your father placed a hand on your shoulder. "Remember this," he said quietly. "Empires are not built by kings alone. They are built by ordinary people who never stop marching." You never forgot those words. Years later, when you become old enough, royal officers arrive in your village. Every healthy young man is expected to serve. No one argues. Serving the king is not simply a duty. It is the law. You leave your family before sunrise. Your mother hides her tears. Your younger brother tries to smile. Your father simply hands you a small clay charm. "Keep this," he says. "It cannot stop an arrow, but it will remind you where home is." You nod, even though your stomach feels heavy. For the first time in your life, you walk away from your village without knowing when or if you will return. Days later, you arrive at the military camp outside Nineveh. It is larger than your entire hometown. Hundreds of recruits stand in straight lines. Nobody talks. A scarred veteran slowly walks in front of you. He doesn't ask your name. He doesn't ask where you're from. He looks at every recruit and says only one thing: "Forget the life you had." He points toward the training field. "From today, you belong to Syria." You swallow hard and step forward. The first thing the army takes from you is your name. Before sunrise, a horn echoes across the camp. You jump awake. The veteran standing over you doesn't smile. Too slow. The day's training begins. Run. Run again. Then run carrying a heavy shield. When your legs burn, the officers shout louder. When your arms shake, they add more weight. Every time someone falls, they hear the same word: again. At first, you think the officers enjoy your suffering. Then you notice something. They are training your body, but they are also training your mind. Because on the battlefield, the first thing that gives up is not your body. It is your courage. Every day follows the same pattern. March, fight, build, repeat. Yes, build. That surprises you. You expected soldiers to learn only how to kill. Instead, you spend hours digging trenches, cutting trees, lifting stones, and helping engineers build roads. One instructor notices your confused face. He laughs. A warrior who cannot build, cannot destroy. Only then do you understand. Assyria does not win because it is brave soldiers. It wins because every soldier knows many jobs. If a bridge blocks your path, you build one. If a river stops the army, you cross it. If a city hides behind strong walls, you bring the walls down. That is what makes your empire different. Months pass. The blisters on your hands become hard skin. The heavy shield no longer feels impossible to lift. The spear begins to feel like part of your own arm. One afternoon, the officers line everyone up. Wooden practice spears are collected. Real weapons are carried into the camp. Your heart beats faster. One by one, each recruit steps forward. When your turn comes, an old armorer places a spear in your hands. The iron tip shines in the sunlight. It is sharper than anything you have ever touched. The armorer looks into your eyes. This weapon has already survived 3 campaigns. You run your fingers along the wooden shaft. Someone else carried it before you. Someone else fought with it. Someone else may have died holding it. Now, it belongs to you. A few days later, the officer picks up a bronze helmet and places it in your hands. It is heavy, much heavier than you imagined. Then comes your armor. Small bronze scales are stitched together to protect your chest and shoulders. It is not comfortable. It is not light, but it may save your life. Soon your training changes. You no longer practice against wooden posts. You train beside experienced veterans. They teach you how to fight without breaking formation. Never chase one enemy. Protect the man beside you. If the line breaks, everyone dies. Slowly, you realize something. The greatest strength of the Assyrian army is not one powerful warrior. It is thousands of ordinary soldiers moving as if they share one heartbeat. That is why kingdoms fear you. Not because one man is unstoppable, but because an entire army is. Then, one cold morning, the great war drums echo across the camp. The officers stop training. Messengers ride in from the capital. A neighboring kingdom has refused to pay tribute to the Assyrian king. The order is simple. March immediately. You tighten the straps on your armor. You lift your shield. For years, you have trained for this moment. Now, you are about to discover whether training is enough when the arrows are real. The army marches before the sun rises. Thousands of boots strike the ground in perfect rhythm. You climb a small hill and see it. A mighty city surrounded by tall walls. Watchtowers stand above the gates. Archers line the walls. Smoke rises from houses inside. Somewhere behind those walls, thousands of men become silent. Then another rider moves toward the city. He carries the king's final message. Surrender. Pay tribute. Open your gates. Or face the army of Assyria. The defenders answer with laughter. Someone throws a spear from the wall. It lands harmlessly in the dirt. The commander slowly turns toward your army. They have chosen pride. He lifts his sword. Begin the siege. Suddenly, the peaceful valley explodes with movement. Engineers rush forward carrying tools. Carpenters begin building siege towers taller than the city walls. Other soldiers dig trenches to protect the workers from enemy arrows. Archers move into position. You expected a wild attack. Instead, everything happens with careful planning. Every man knows exactly where to stand. Every job has already been decided. You finally understand why older soldiers call the army a machine. Machines do not panic. Machines do not argue. Machines simply work. Then your unit receives its first order. Protect the engineers. You lock shields with the men beside you. Arrows begin falling from above. They strike your shield with loud cracks. One arrow slips through a gap and hits the soldier beside you. He gasps and falls to one knee. Without a word, another soldier steps into his place. The shield wall never breaks. You want to help him. Your body wants to stop. But your training takes control. Keep moving. Protect the line. The engineers keep working behind you. Hour after hour, the siege towers grow higher. The giant battering ram rolls toward the gate. The defenders throw burning torches onto it. Nothing happens. The thick, wet hides covering the ram refuse to catch fire. For the first time, you see fear on the faces above the walls. Not because they are losing, because they realize they cannot stop what is coming. The commander points toward the gate. Tomorrow, he says, the walls will no longer protect them. You stare at the city as darkness covers the battlefield. Tomorrow will be your first real battle. Tonight, neither side sleeps. The battering ram crashes through the gates, and your commander shouts, "Forward!" You rush into the city, where every street becomes a battlefield. Arrows fly from rooftops. Spears strike from dark alleys, and even victory feels dangerous. A soldier who trained beside you for years falls only a few steps away. You want to stop, but the army keeps moving. By sunset, the city finally surrenders. The Assyrian banner rises above the walls, but all you can see are the broken homes and the friends who will never return. Back in Nineveh, the king celebrates another great victory. New treasures fill the palaces, and the empire grows stronger. But you know every stone was paid for with someone's life. Years pass, your hair turns gray, and younger soldiers take your place. Then the impossible happens. Assyria begins to fall. The mighty empire you helped build disappears into history. The kings are remembered, but ordinary soldiers like you are forgotten. If you could live as any ancient warrior, who would you choose next? Tell me in the comments.